Welcome to 21 Days of Code series. So today, here we are with our problem number 1 for day number 1. The problem title reads as follows. Number of steps to reduce a number to 0. So the statement gives you an intuition that you need to count the number of steps which will make the number 0. Now let's start by digging the problem statement. Given a non-negative integer num, return the number of steps to reduce it to 0. That is, you are given a non-negative integer num and you need to make it 0 with the conditions that are follows. If the current number is even, you have to divide it by 2. That is, if the number which is given to you is even, you need to divide it by 2. Otherwise, you have to subtract 1 from it. Else, in case the number is odd, you can subtract 1 from it. This will continue until the number becomes 0, and that's what we want. So now let's try to explore the example that's given with this question so that we get a clear understanding of what the question tries to ask. So in the example, the number given is 14. 14 is an even number. So at first we divide it by 2, which results in number 7. And as you know, number 7 is an odd number. So we subtract 1 from it. And this whole process continues until the number finally becomes 0. Also, we need to keep a track of the count of the number of steps that we are taking to make it 0. So we'll just initialize the count variable somewhere so that we can keep a track of number of steps that we are taking. So here, moving from number 14 to 7, we take 1 step. Also simultaneously, as we are keeping a track of count, we'll add 1 to count. Initially the count was 0, so it becomes 0 plus 1. Now moving further, we have taken another step here, as you can see, and we'll increment the count by 1. And we keep increasing the count until we reach the number 0. So now we have the value of our count variable equal to 6. And that's what we needed. The answer is 6 for this case. I hope you guys got a better understanding of the problem and the example made it more clear. Now let's move towards the code to this problem. So this is our lead code environment. We'll be using Java to code this problem. Let's begin with writing the code. So here we are supposed to complete this function which will count the number of steps that we need to make the number 0. We are given num as input. And as we have discussed in the whiteboard explanation, we'll be needing a count variable to store the number of steps and a repeating procedure. For that, we'll be using a while loop to compute the count. Now let's begin with the code. While num is greater than 0, because we want our loop to end when the number becomes 0. So our condition for while loop will be num greater than 0. Now the steps. So we'll check if the number is even, we'll divide it by 2 and increase our count by 1. Also, in case the number is odd, we need to subtract 1 from it. And this procedure will continue until we get 0 as our number. And at last, we'll be having the number of steps that we needed to make it 0 in our count variable. So we can simply return that variable towards the end of this function. Now we'll run this code. Okay, so the example test case passed. Now let's try example number 2. The number is 8. Okay, this also worked. And now we'll try to submit this problem and look for the verdict. So it worked. Thank you.